The drama at OpenAI continues. So lots of things have happened on Friday and over the weekend that I didn't get a chance to include in my previous video, so here they are. This woman was the one who fired Sam Altman. At least that's what the New York Times claims. So this is Mira Murati, Chief Technology Officer at OpenAI. And in this article, published by the New York Times, here's what they say. Previously unreported details are emerging about the role that Mira Murati, OpenAI's Chief Technology Officer, played in the ouster of Mr. Altman. It says, Ms. Murati wrote a private memo to Mr. Altman raising questions about his management and also shared her concerns with the board. That move helped to propel the board's decision to force him out, according to the people with knowledge of the board's decisions, etc., etc. So, in a nutshell, what this is saying is that Mira Murati played a key role in influencing the firing of Sam Altman. It helped propel the board's decision to fire Sam Altman. But wait a minute, something doesn't add up here. When Sam Altman was fired in November, the employees were with him. They threatened to quit. And they tweeted this, which kind of went viral. So OpenAI is nothing without its people. They're standing with Sam Altman. And guess who was one of those people who tweeted this out? It was Mira Murati. Also, a few days later in the timeline of Sam Altman getting fired, the employees threatened to quit. Basically, they got together and signed this letter where it says, "We, the undersigned, may choose to resign from OpenAI and join the newly announced Microsoft subsidiary run by Sam and Greg. We will take this step imminently unless all current board members resign," etc., etc. So they're threatening to quit, and look who's first on the list. Mira Murati. Now, I'm not sure if she's the one who actually wrote this, but it just seems from prior evidence, if you've been keeping track with the whole story of Sam Altman getting fired, Mira Murati was on Sam's side the whole time. But now this is saying Murati is the one who kind of triggered this. Either the New York Times is dead wrong, or something's missing here. I tried to find more articles on this, so here's one by the New York Post, but these are all just referencing the original New York Times article. Here's one from Business Insider, but again, this is just referencing that New York Times article. Murati's move helped trigger the decision to oust the OpenAI CEO. These were all just citing this original New York Times post. Now, in the New York Times article, I tried to find who exactly exposed this information, and it doesn't say, which is also strange. I guess the only clue here is in this sentence, according to people with knowledge of the board's decisions who asked for anonymity because of the sensitive nature. So again, I'm not sure if these are the people who are tipping New York Times to write this article, and then they asked to be anonymous. And then in this Business Insider article, again, it just cites the New York Times article, but it says that they were citing unnamed sources. So whoever leaked this to the New York Times, they were unnamed. They wanted to be anonymous, which I understand for obvious reasons, but something just seems really off. How could Mira Murati, who we all thought was on Sam's side, how could she be the one who actually, propelled the board to fire Sam Altman? So finally, one day after, Mira responds on Twitter with this: "Governance of an institution is critical for insight, stability, and continuity. I'm happy that the independent review has concluded," which I'll talk about in a second, "and we can all move forward united. It has been disheartening to witness the previous board's efforts to scapegoat me with anonymous and misleading claims in a last-ditch effort to save face in the media." So, all right, this makes more sense. She's obviously referring to the New York Times article here, and she's saying that it's probably, the previous board members who are trying to scapegoat her with misleading claims to save face in the media. So, really quickly, who is on the previous board of directors? Well, we had Ilya Sutskever, the chief scientist and kind of the brains behind OpenAI. He's one of the most cited, if not the most cited, AI researcher in the world. So he has skin in the game. And then we have Greg Brockman, who was previous chairman of the board. He's also one of the co-founders. He worked closely with Sam. Before that, he was CTO at Stripe. So I would say these are the only two who actually had skin in the game. They actually understood the projects that OpenAI were building. And then we had Adam D'Angelo, who's the CEO of Quora. He was former CTO at Facebook. So some technical knowledge, but not so much in AI. I wouldn't say he had skin in the game. This was the only person who was retained on the board afterwards. And then we had Tasha Macaulay. She's been pretty silent and low-key this whole time. She's really only known as the wife of this actor, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who starred in 500 Days of Summer. So he's not a super famous actor, but you might have seen his face from time to time. Now, I tried finding more information on this Tasha Macaulay. On LinkedIn, it does say she's a robotics engineer and CEO of GeoSim Systems. And I tried searching, well, what exactly is this GeoSim Systems? It's just a blank page on LinkedIn. So is this like a shell company? I couldn't even find a website or anything. Something is really weird here. So she's pretty much a nobody. People say she's probably part of the coup to oust Sam Altman. And then finally, we have the star of the whole coup, Helen Toner. So people say that she is likely the one who started this whole thing, who orchestrated the coup to fire Sam Altman. So who exactly is Helen Toner? She is the director of strategy at Georgetown's Center for Security and Emerging Technology, or CSET. So she probably has some expertise in like AI safety and policy. The problem is, I think in October of last year, so roughly a month before they fired Sam Altman, she published this paper, Decoding Intentions, which kind of criticized the actions of OpenAI. As you can see, this is page 29. Here's really the key paragraph where they started criticizing the actions of OpenAI. It's a pretty complicated article, but I'll link to this in the description below if you want to read it further. And then here it's also praising Anthropic's decision to delay the release of its chatbot, saying that's the right thing to do. Now, Anthropic is OpenAI's direct competitor, so it's not really good to, say these things and publish a paper criticizing OpenAI while you are a board member of OpenAI. So allegedly, Sam Altman was not impressed by this. They had some arguments or conflicts, and that's how this whole power play thing kind of started. So, all right, we now know that it's likely Helen Toner who started it and Tasha who kind of supported Helen. This had nothing to do with Mira Murati, who was CTO and who supported Sam all this time. So when Meera speaks up finally and says that it's probably the previous board's effort to scapegoat me and save face in the media. Now, of course, she didn't name any names here, but it's probably referring to Helen Toner. And you can see in the comments, people kind of guessed this. So, well, I guess that's just another consideration for anyone contemplating the appointment of Helen Toner or Tasha Macaulay. Red flags well and truly noted. And anyways, she also sent this message to her team. So let me open this up. It says, "Hi everyone, some of you may have seen a New York Times article about me and the old board. I find it frustrating that some people seem to want to cause chaos as we are trying to move on. But to very briefly comment on the specific claims there, Sam and I have a strong and productive partnership. I've not been shy from sharing feedback with him directly. I never reached out to the board to give feedback about Sam. However, when individual board members reached out directly to me for feedback about Sam, I provided it. All feedback Sam already knew. This does not in any way mean that I am responsible for or supported the old board's actions, which I still find perplexing. I fought their actions aggressively and we all worked together to bring Sam back. Really looking forward to get the board review done and put gossip behind us." So alright, again, this kind of clears up the mystery a bit more. I've given you all the evidence. What do you think of this? I think for me, it's quite evident that, it's just the previous board members, Helen Toner and Tasha Macaulay, who are kind of tipping New York Times to write this to cause more chaos. And, this doesn't look good for the New York Times, as well as other media companies. So what I mean by that is they received a tip from someone anonymous, I guess, and they posted this, but it's not very credible. Like, this seems completely wrong and out of place, which just shows you how credible the New York Times is. And then the rest of these large media outlets, like Business Insider, just repost the same New York Times articles. So it's just really one primary source, right? This is the New York Times article, and then Business Insider cites that, New York Post cites that, and so everyone is just copying from each other, in a sense. So once, one source of malinformation is out there, it spreads like wildfire because everyone is just copying from that original source. They're not doing any fact checking or anything like that. So it's not good for these media companies. They're losing credibility here. All right, so that's Mira Murati. We've clarified that. And then the next update is the independent investigation of this whole OpenAI fiasco. What exactly happened? So OpenAI hired an external party. It's a law firm called WilmerHale to basically do a very deep investigation on what exactly happened. And that report was released on March 8th. Here's a Business Insider report, which sums it up really nicely. We now know nothing more than we already knew. There was really not a lot of juicy information here. So anyways, just to go into some of the details, this WilmerHale firm, they reviewed more than 30,000 documents, evaluated various corporate actions, after which they showed it to the new board. The new board expressed its full confidence in Sam Altman and Greg Brockman's ongoing leadership. So if you scroll down a bit, again, I'll link to this article in the description below, but here's a summary of all their findings. They found that there was a breakdown in trust between the prior board and Mr. Altman that precipitated the events of November 17th when he was fired. So again, nothing new here. We already knew there was some tension between Helen Toner's side and Sam Altman's side. WilmerHale also found that the prior board's decision did not arise out of concerns regarding product safety or security, the pace of development, OpenAI's finances, or its statements to investors, customers, or business partners. So this had nothing to do with this Q-Star document, which was leaked on 4chan, which claims that they're developing this AI that can break cryptography. Well, all right, I guess I can believe you, but the only concern is no one at OpenAI, whether it's Sam or Greg or the spokesperson or whoever else, no one denied this. So if it was total BS, why can't someone just come out and deny this? So that's slightly concerning for me still. And if this was true, I mean, this would be so dangerous that, of course, even if they did a deep investigation, they wouldn't reveal it to us, the public. So some reservations here. It says that it had nothing to do with product safety or security or the pace of development or anything like that. Instead, it was a consequence of the breakdown in relationship and loss of trust between the prior board and Sam Altman. So pretty much just repeating what they said up here. There was a breakdown in trust. And that's pretty much what they found in this investigation. So they analyzed tens of thousands of documents, conducted tons of interviews. They concluded that it was just a breakdown in the relationship and loss of trust between the prior board and Sam Altman. So nothing juicy here. Final update is that OpenAI also appointed 3 new board members. So previously, this was the new board. Adam D'Angelo, CEO of Quora, who was also on the previous board. He was the only one who made it to the new board. And then we have Brett Taylor. He co-created Google Maps. He was CTO of Facebook. He was chairman of Twitter's board before it got acquired by Elon Musk, and co-CEO of Salesforce. So right now he's also board member of Shopify. And then we have Larry Summers. If you're in finance, you've probably heard of him. So Larry has held a lot of prestigious positions, from being the president of Harvard University to the US Secretary of Treasury, as well as director of the National Economic Council. So what do you see is wrong with this new board right now? 2 of them are leaders in for-profit tech companies, so they're great at building businesses. They have a very capitalist mindset, you can say. And then Larry Summers, he's great in economics and finance. He's worked for, top finance positions for the US government. The current structure of the board could be, I'm not saying they are, but it could be biased towards capitalist for-profit decisions, and decisions that will be in the interest of the USA and not the rest of the world. So that was slightly concerning. So over the weekend, they've added 3 new board members to this list. Now, what's interesting is the previous board was kicked out. These 3 were added in late November. Why did it take them 5 months to add 3 new board members to this board? So I'm not sure if Elon's lawsuit against OpenAI actually triggered them to add more diverse members to the board. So here's the sentence in the lawsuit that could trigger this. The new board members lack substantial AI expertise and on information and belief, are ill-equipped by design to make an independent determination of whether and when OpenAI has attained AGI, etc., etc. Which, in a sense, is true. Like, if you look at these three people, none of them have any knowledge, any deep knowledge about AI. Unlike Ilya Sutskever, who was previously on the board and, he's the chief scientist at OpenAI. None of them also have any expertise in AI safety and policy. These were all just leaders in tech companies. They knew how to build and grow tech companies, and this guy knows about finance and economics. So, is this really the right board? So anyways, they've now announced 3 new board members. The first one is Dr. Sue Desmond-Hellmann, who was previously the CEO at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. She was also previously Chancellor of the University of California, San Francisco, and also President of Product Development at Genentech, which is a biotech company. So, all right, looking good here. We finally have added some more nonprofit experience into the board. The second person is Nicole Seligman, who was former president of Sony Corporation of America. It says here she's also an American attorney. She gained national attention for her representation in the Iran-Contra hearings and Bill Clinton's impeachment trial. So she has some legal experience as well. And then finally, we have Fidji Simo, who is CEO of Instacart, and also she's on the board of directors at Shopify. Same with Brett Taylor. So I would say Simo doesn't really add much to the board. I mean, she's a CEO of a big tech company, Instacart, so her areas of expertise kind of just overlap with Adam D'Angelo and Brett Taylor. But these two are definitely, I think, really good additions. So Dr. Sue, we finally have some nonprofit expertise on the board. And then Nicole, we've got some legal expertise now. So those are pretty much the updates that have happened from, Friday to the weekend. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, we built a site where you can search for AI tools and find jobs in AI, machine learning, data science, etc. So check that out at ai-search.io. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.